notice that the far side is not on because it's like 1 billion degrees at the moment. For the magic of editing, this is just for you guys who are watching this on YouTube. That is now an igloo. That looks a lot more impressive to them than it did to you. Please welcome to the stage, Steve Mitchell.
Good evening, everybody. How you doing? Good to see you all. Well, it's good to see some of you, not others. I'm only joking. You got to have one. You got to have one stooge.
I already know this is going to be phenomenal.
Oh dear. No pressure.
So, you know, let's just start literally at the beginning. Just 5 minutes. Who are you? And just a little bit about your background.
That's a dangerous question.
So
I am Western Superman.
Up until before what you're doing now.
Yeah,
so your basic origin story up to before what you're doing.
Yeah. So I was born in Western Superman in 1975. I know, I don't look that old. I was born on the Bourneville. Well, actually, I was born in town, but I lived on the Bourneville, grew up, went to Bourneville School, Broadway School. I'm a proper Western boy. I left school, had no qualifications, and went to learn to be a chef. Got with my now wife. We've been married for 34 years, 35 this year. And she was a trainee hairdresser, and we were just growing up in Western Superman. Then we had a child and thought, shit, we better grow up pretty quick. So I joined the army, and we moved out of Western Superman. And we travelled the world with the army, and then we left the army and just started being self-employed, and kids grew up. My daughter had her kids. I've now got 4 grandchildren. Again, I don't look old enough, Rich. I know you were thinking it. And then, yeah, so we've had a very, very varied life, travelling around the world with the army. And then, like I say, this will come apparent later, but we started with nothing, absolutely nothing. Like I say, no qualifications, no future. We weren't meant to be successful, me and my wife, because we were council estate kids that came from broken families, but we actually got through and had a pretty awesome life so far, and it's going to get better.
That's fantastic. You know, kind of like almost, I don't mind me saying it, it's kind of a rags to riches story almost.
Absolutely,
like that.
yeah,
So
100%.
yeah, it is obviously very inspiring to see like you've been able to come so far from what sounded quite turbulent, because you were described at school like, you know, oh, he's the class clown, oh, he's ADHD, oh, he's just unruly and all that kind of stuff. Was there a point where you suddenly went, oh no, I've got to sort my shit out?
When my daughter came.
Yeah.
So you've hit the nail on the head. Back then, obviously, you know, I left school in 91, and ADHD wasn't really a thing when I was a kid. I was just the naughty kid that never paid attention. I was the daydreamer. No one's noticed that, you're right. And my teachers were always the ones that said, look, Stephen could do much better if he only applied himself, if he only concentrated more, he could be, really successful. But they just didn't understand that I just couldn't focus on. Even now, I've written a book. I haven't read it. I know that sounds. Listen, I know that sounds mental, but I can't concentrate for too long. I described this to somebody the other day. My head is like, the National Lottery, and they have the big ball, and it's got all the little balls, and they're all tumbling around all at the same time. One ball comes out, and they call the number. To me, that's a thought, a memory, or an emotion. And it will come out, and I'll go, okay, well, what's this one? We'll deal with this one now. But before I finish with it, another one's come out, and well, I'll put that one there, but it's still bouncing up and down. And then another one. Can anybody relate to that? Do you know what I mean? It's just, over the years, I've learned to balance it and control it somewhat. But yeah, when I was at school, that's what it was, day in, day out. And I was put in the bottom sets, and I was put in the naughty class, and I was always made to. Did anybody go to Broadway School in Western at all? No. Okay, we had.
I was Wyvern.
Anyway, we had these quads, and if you were naughty, you had to go and stand in the middle of the quad so that everybody could point at you out of the classrooms and laugh at you. And it was normally me going. In the middle of the quad, so class clown. That's what it was, and that was the only way that I could deal with my energy.
Yeah.
And as you can tell, I've still got it now.
So you say you learned to deal with that energy, or that excess of energy, or that kind of like crazy hopping of focus. What was it that helped you? Like, as in what techniques? How did you manage to develop something that allowed you to actually be able to like finish a task or something?
I still struggle with that, if I'm honest.
Right.
But the army, discipline in the army, there's no choice. You have to do what you're being told to do, and you have to see something through. Otherwise, other people die or get injured. So when you commit to it, you have to. The army made me grow up very, very quickly. I joined when I was 18 years old, and within 6 months, I was on the streets of Northern Ireland with a gun, and I was in charge of 5 other blokes at 18. So that kind of makes you grow up really, really quickly, and then things start happening, and you have responsibilities. But even then, it was like I was still only 18. I still had way to go before maturing, and even, again, this will become apparent later. I used to have lots of problems throughout my life with alcohol, drugs, violence, all sorts of things. Do you know what I mean? The army turn you into something, but they don't undo it afterwards. You get to a certain point and they go, well, thank you very much, thank you for your service, off you go, back to Civvy Street. So you're not going to undo all these things that you put in there and taught me how to do and stuff like that, so you have to kind of deal with that. But going back to your original question, joining the army was what made me grow up very, very quickly, because I had a daughter. And I thought to myself, I don't want my daughter growing up in Weston-super-Mare with me as a struggling chef, my wife as a struggling hairdresser. And the army just seemed the right way to go because it was discipline, it was good money, we were going to see the world, and you know, that's how it went.
Yeah, so you touched on very quickly about, you mentioned about that you were a chef at one point, you've been in the army. I've got a quick list of just some of the jobs that you've had. Because I remember
This may take a while.
I've only got a few of them here, and I do know there's more because I watched your interview or your podcast with Neil Cuddle on his...
Oh, Neil, yeah.
A couple of months ago, I think it was now. And you described yourself as serial entrepreneur.
Well, entrepreneur is a loose term.
Right.
Yeah, go on.
So what I've got here from just like 5 minutes of looking at a few pages, personal development specialist, peak performance mentor, singer, motivational speaker, holiday home for dogs,
we've got a doggy daycare.
doggy daycare, elite mindset coach, chef, restaurateur, army veteran, and now author as well.
Yeah, and a plasterer.
Plasterer. There we go. I'm not too sure. I couldn't work out whether this was actually you or not, but I googled you.
Not George Michael.
Not George Michael. No, that is really funny.
One that
yeah, there is a George Michael tribute actress who shares your name. So
Mitchell,
you're a musician and he was a musician. You don't want to confuse the two because it's slightly different
I've
style.
got a funny story about that later on if you want to hear it.
So he's going to be performing for us. Careless Whisper.
You can wear some white socks and like really go overboard. But yeah, electrician's mate, carpenter, tiler. I was a head chef at a primary school called Mendip Green in Weston. Won lots of awards for taking the children up to Birmingham to win a baking award. I wrote a cookbook called Family Cooking with the School Chef. We have got a doggy daycare centre, a grooming salon, and we do home boarding. We've got 8 alpacas, 7 sheep, 4 peacocks, 2 pigs, 15 chickens, 2 cockerels, 4 grandchildren, 2 dogs, 2 cats. We've got a pear tree, we just need the partridge to go in it. So yes, I sing in a band, I sing solo, duo, trio. Life. I have this saying, well, there is a saying that variety is the spice of life. Mine's a vindaloo. That's how I because at the end of the day, it's like I always have to have something new. The ADHD has always got to be something new. So that list will go on as well, by the way. I'm only 51, mate. I've got loads to go.
Plenty to go. Stay tuned for the next 30 to 50 years and see what happens. There we go.
Check back.
Because we actually met a good few years ago. It was very, very briefly, but you were performing at a pub in Cross.
Okay.
And I was actually supporting you on their summer fun day.
Okay.
It was the White Hart.
Oh, yeah.
Gina and Mike.
and Gina.
Yeah. So that was where I first met you. So that was it. And they
I remember it very well. I remember
excellent. No, you don't. You weren't there for my set. I remember.
I remember somebody talking about it.
I chat to you after. I'm not expecting you to remember. It's not a thing like that or anything. But that was where I first met you and that was how I found out that you were in the ley lines and everything. And I started listening to your music. And I actually covered one of your songs on the next gig. I learnt.
Is that the PRS?
So, I learnt "Sat in a Field" by ear and performed it the next time I played. Actually,
nice,
just for fun. So
how did it go down?
It went down quite well.
You're better than Steve.
They didn't say that. But no, it was just fun. So obviously that was my first.
That's an honour. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that.
No worries at all. No worries at all. But yeah, so obviously there's a lot of different things going on there of all your different jobs and all the different things that you had there. So do you find it particularly easy to be able to switch to a new career almost entirely? Or was it a kind of thing which you kind of like builds for a little while and then you're like, okay, now I've got prepared, now I'm going to move on to this next thing and the other thing can do something else? How does it look when you move from one thing to the next?
So I have this thing where I get to a certain point. To me, like again, we were having a conversation earlier, money is not my driving factor. I absolutely don't care about money. And there's a saying that money is like a dog. The further you chase a dog, the dog's going to run away quicker. It's the same with money. If you chase money all the time, the money's going to walk away from you. So why bother?
Yep.
Just chase happiness, fulfillment, contentment, love, joy, excitement, all that kind of stuff. So I tend to do things so we've had 2 restaurants, we've had a takeaway, we've had a burger van, we've had all sorts of businesses. When I get to a certain point in a business, It doesn't matter if it's doing really well or not. If it's not fulfilling me,
Right.
that's it. What's next? I'd love to start again. This is a news flash, by the way. We've just bought a house in France. Ours has gone on the market today, and we're moving to France because I want a new challenge. And what's more challenging than moving to a country where you don't speak the language to start a business all over again, where you don't even know if they want that business in France? I'll let you know how that goes on.
So we haven't even got to the point of you now. We're now talking about you in the future. So we're going to touch on that very briefly, which is, what do you plan to do in France? Is it related to what you're doing now?
Same as this, doggy daycare, grooming, home boarding. I will probably make doggy treats and sell them. I
Right.
plan to make pasties and pies for the local expats because they're probably missing it.
Right.
I'll be going out singing in chateaux and expat places and pubs, all that kind of stuff.
So you've already got the established experience and everything of all these different things that you've done before. You just have to almost literally translate that to the expat audience who probably
Yeah.
don't speak much French necessarily, do they? But
So,
I'll probably cut that bit out just in case.
so I have to, this is a little challenge that I've set myself. So to look after dogs in France, you have to have an EACCAD qualification. To get that qualification, you have to go to college for 3 days and you have to take an exam. And it's all in French. So that's my next challenge.
Right.
So obviously I'll go and do that and then I'll pass it and then we'll start the doggy daycare.
Any French speakers in the audience?
Chien? So there you go. So,
That's quite an important word.
Je voudrais ouvrir une pension de canine dans l'étage de canine. We want to open a doggy grooming place and a dog boarding thing. So I'm getting there.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So I think now that we've done the past and the future, let's move a little bit more to more like present and recent present then. So, so how and why did you come to be working into your current industry? Which one do we call your current industry at the moment, should we say? The one that's on your LinkedIn is the personal development specialist.
This is what we're here for, isn't
and
it?
life transformation expert.
Yeah.
So what got you to this, and then what is it?
Okay, so in 2016, New Year's Eve, I was a borderline alcoholic. And this is me on New Year's Eve in 2016 with my sister. We both look slightly different now. But I was that person that always wanted to be there till the very end. I had the fear of missing out. I was doing drugs, I was doing drinking, I was in a band, I was living the rock and roll lifestyle. And on New Year's Eve 2016, I was getting drunk with my brother-in-law, doing Goldschlanger and tequila slammers and stuff. I woke up New Year's Day 2017 and thought, I think I'm done. I think I'm done with all this. And I never said to myself, I'm never going to drink again. I'm not, but I knew that there was a problem. Now, I don't know what an alcoholic is, but I guess it's somebody that needs alcohol to function on a daily basis. That wasn't me. But get to the weekend, I would do a litre of Jack Daniels while I was doing a gig. And the gigs are normally 2 hours. Yeah. Then I would go on to somewhere else and we'd have an after show party, or we'd do a festival and go from one festival to the next, hotel rooms, Airbnbs. And it was just getting silly. So I decided then that I was going to cut down, and I remember saying to my wife actually said to me, it's either me or the band, because you can't do both. So I asked her to give me the chance to prove it, and I said to her, look, I'm not saying I'm never going to drink alcohol again because that's stupid, but I'm going to cut down and I'm going to try. And here we are 9 years later, and I haven't touched a drop of alcohol since that day.
Oh, congratulations, well done.
Thank you. So that was that. Then this is the dark bit. There's a bit of a trigger warning here for suicide. On the 10th of January 2021, I sat in my truck. I still get emotional about this, and I apologise, but it's good because it's a driving factor and it keeps me going. I sat in my truck and I considered where I could go to take my own life. Because life wasn't what I wanted it to be, and I never figured out my place in life, and I had a lovely wife, I had lovely children, I had a family that adored me, but I just wasn't fulfilled in life. So anyway, here I am. I didn't do it, obviously. Let's move on from that bit. And then 8th of February 2024, so not long ago, I was playing football with my grandchildren, and I was literally, excuse my language, blowing out of my ass. I was overweight, I was unhealthy, and I was unfit. And I had this epiphany, and I thought, what happened to you? Why did nobody tell you you were getting like this? Why did nobody tell you? You used to be in the army, you used to fit and strong and healthy. Why did nobody tell you? And my wife was like, well, because we see you every day, we didn't notice. So it was at that point I decided to be fit, strong and healthy, mentally, physically and emotionally. And this was me on my 50th birthday. And I'm not showing you that because it's a flex, because I look even better now. but that person's dead now, is gone. They don't exist anymore. And so I've always been doing this. Since I left the army, I've always been helping people, motivating people, and helping to help people to let go of their negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions from the past, because I've been there. And what makes me a life transformation expert? This. Doing what I've done, being where I've been, and walking my walk, traveling my journey, that qualifies me. I haven't been to college, I don't have a degree, I don't have a doctorate, but what I do have is really hard-earned merit of nearly committing suicide, having an alcohol problem, having a drink problem, but then being able to go, do you know what? I can climb out of this, and I never had any help. I didn't ask for any help. I never went to any. I did go to a counsellor, a guy called Giles, and he was amazing. But apart from that, it was all me. And so my calling now, I believe, with everything else, is to help people to release the best version of themselves, because that's what I've done. Does that explain it at all? Is that, yeah? Are we there? Cool.
That's brilliant. It is a very powerful, very emotional story that you have there.
I do apologise. But the one thing I would say is every time I talk about that and I get that emotion, that's my anchor to it, because I know that emotion's so raw, because I know that I let so many people down on that journey, and I think as long as that emotion's there, and I have forgiven myself, but I haven't forgotten. And I think, and by the way, just a little bit of an explanation of what keeps me going. I imagine now I've set a trigger in my mind. I've set an anchor. So if you can imagine a silver chain, a beautiful silver chain, bit like your necklace there, beautiful, really shiny and silver, the best silver chain you've ever had. And I have a link, and it's connected to my head, and it connects all the way back to New Year's Day 2017. And I know in my heart that if I take one sip of alcohol, you know the Death Star in Star Wars, if I take a sip of alcohol, that beautiful chain that I've spent 9 years building is going to go, and it would have been a whole waste of time. So that's why I have to keep that in my mind. I have to keep that emotion. And there was a moment where I'll try and keep this under the emotion, but my daughter sat on my bed and said, "Dad, you're going to kill yourself. I want you to walk me down the aisle like you did, Elsie, and I want you to see my grandkids growing." That's what I need to keep me going all the time, because it comes up, it reminds me I'm doing good, and then it goes back down again, and it reminds me to stay on that path.
No, it's an emotional.
It is.
Incredibly emotional story.
It's hard to live with sometimes, but on the other side of it, I can dial into it when I need to go, this is why you're doing it, don't go back, don't let anything knock you off path. Do you know what I mean?
So let's go on to just a little bit more in depth, just for a bit, about the 7 steps.
Let's go on to something lighter.
A little bit lighter, still related though, because obviously we've got release, and each of those letters actually is a different step or point within the release system, however you want to call
program.
it. So program. So can you just sort of obviously I don't want to say too much, because we are promoting your book and your course and everything here as well. But can you tell us just what they all are and how you came up with those ones specifically?
Let's put that there.
Don't know how well you guys can see that. There we go. Hold that for a moment.
So over the last, like I said, when I left the army in 1999, I didn't know, and I still don't understand, but it's been said that I have PTSD, and I had PTSD.
Oh, there we go, perfect.
But it's not something that I define myself with. But however, when you leave the army and you've dealt with stuff and you see your friends and colleagues suffering, you kind of then start to understand things, you become aware of things, and then you think to yourself, well, I've been through that and I've come out the other side and I want to help. So I became a master practitioner of NLP, spectrum therapy and hypnosis. And I used to work for a company called Invisible Injuries, and I would go and help on weekend retreats, volunteering to go and help people who were in a position that I was in before. And it wasn't just ex-service people, it was ambulance drivers, it was police officers, it was nurses, anybody that had been through a traumatic experience. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, the definition is the normal reaction to an abnormal situation. So just because Army, Navy, anything, anybody can have PTSD. So that's where the journey started, when I started to learn about therapy and helping people. Then, of course, I went on my own journey, and I sort of, like, I lost my identity, and I didn't have any self-esteem, I didn't have any self-belief, I didn't have any vision for the future. So this is the God's honest truth. I dreamt this. I woke up one morning, and I was like, there's a 7-step program, and I need to release the best you, and I woke up, and I had that. I know that sounds mental. I'm not really a religious person, but something the universe must have said to me, mate, this is your calling, this is what you need to do. So, the 7 steps, okay? Yeah. If you follow these 7 steps and you do these things in order, you cannot not change. You have to change, because if you're honest with yourself, once you make one decision for the better of yourself, you will change. You have to. It's undeniable. So recognize who you are. That's about self-awareness. And when we talk about self-awareness, it's not the face that you see in the mirror. It's about what makes you feel anger, sadness, fear, anxiety, stress. What makes you feel happiness, love, joy, and passion. Because when you experience these things and how these things experience in you, you can then kind of control them and you can start to learn a bit more. So now I know what causes me stress. I either avoid it or I accept I can't control it, and then I just deal with it. And it's like, normally I'll walk away from it because if I can't control it, I need to remove myself. But when you're not aware of that, and in your everyday life, you might have stress, anxiety, worry, and it's normally caused by other people or other situations. If you're not aware of it, you can't change it. Awareness is everything. When you're aware of something, you can change it. So recognizing who you are is sitting down and actually asking yourself, what is it in my life that is causing these negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and what can I do about it? So once you recognize who you are and how you're affected by these things, then we look at evaluate your current situation. And this is talking about all the things in my life that cause me these negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Most people, not everybody here, most people wake up in the morning, they go to a place that they don't want to go to do a job that they don't like, probably for a person that they'd like less than the job, for not enough money, to go back to a house that they're struggling to pay the bills, and then they just do it again and again and again. And what they don't do is they don't evaluate all of their current situation, say, well, how can I make this better? What can I change? How can I move in a different direction? And I'm not saying it works for everybody, because some people that's just their life and they have to stay on that road. But you can make it easier once you evaluate. So when you think about sense of adventure, finances, romantic relationships, all these kind of, we do a thing called the Wheel of Life. Has anybody heard of the Wheel of Life? So we do this. It's an awareness raising thing. And you say, okay, so where are you on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being horrible, 10 being perfect? Where are you on your sense of adventure? Well, it's a 2. Well, why is it a 2? Because I don't have time. Why don't you have time? Because I don't prioritize it. Why don't you prioritize it? And we just break it down until they get the answer that they need. Everybody on the planet has the same amount of time. It's what we do with it to define ourselves. So evaluate your current situation, and then we go on to the next thing, which is learn to let go. Because once you're aware of who you are, once you know what's happening in your current situation, guess what? It's time to let go. And this is where it becomes quite difficult for some people. Because once you recognize the stress, anxiety, worry, fear, guilt, or whatever it might be in your life, and then you evaluate the current situation, guess what? It might not be something that's causing it, it might be somebody. And that somebody might be the person that you've been married to for 34 years. Not my wife. No. But do you see what I mean? It might be your business partner. It might be your friend who's been with you since school. It might be your wife, your husband. And then you have to really dial in and say, how do I deal with this? How am I going to let this go? And it might not be that you let the person go, but you let some things go that you allow them to do to you. You say, I'm going to raise my boundaries and I'm going to change this situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think that makes sense, because there was a lot of, I've seen ones like this before that are quite like edgy, to be honest. So and what's nice here is that it's a little bit more practical, it's a little bit more thinking about the person themselves. But there's, I can't remember which one it was now, and I'm not going to say it if I do remember it just to be safe, but they say things like literally remove all of the negativity from your life. Quite cutthroat. It's like, oh, if your spouse makes you upset, no, don't just divorce them straight away. You know, it's some quite extreme things right there.
It doesn't work like that, does it?
It doesn't work
reality,
like that. You can't necessarily be that harsh, because partly because that might not actually be, that's like chopping off your arm because you've got a graze on your hand or something.
It could be cruel to the other person. So you're absolutely right. Once you identify it, you say, well, how can I deal with this?
Yep.
I'm not going to leave my wife after 34 years. I'm not going to leave my husband after 20 years. But we need to start communicating because something's going wrong here. So I need to let go of the control that they have over me to not allow me to express my feelings, thoughts, emotions. So it could be letting go of something that you've been holding on to, which is actually keeping you down. So, and also as well, let go. I mean, imagine being, let's say, for example, you've gone to university for 7 years to become a vet. You get your own practice or you go and work in another practice. You're there for 2 years and you hate it. You absolutely hate it. But this is what I am now. I'm a vet. I studied for this. Just let it go then. Do something different. Life's too short, man. So identify what it is that's holding you back and then say to yourself, what do I need to do to let go? And by the way, what would happen if I did? What would happen if I did let go of this? What would happen if I decided that I didn't need to do this anymore? Because then it starts opening a world of possibilities, and that's what we want, possibilities.
At a guess, that then ties into expect the best.
Absolutely.
There you go, I'm picking up on this.
Positive thinking. Now, this is like airy-fairy, and lots of people don't believe in it. But I guarantee you 1,000,000%, if you wake up in the morning and start thinking positive thoughts, you're going to have a better day than if you think negative. Nobody wakes up in the morning and wants to think today's going to be a shit day. Most of us wake up and go, oh, my back's hurting, oh, I'm blocked up again, oh my God, it's pissing down with rain again. And we allow those thoughts to infiltrate us. So positive thinking, we have a thing called automatic negative thoughts, okay? And most of us, we're humanly, it's inbuilt with us to automatically think negative thoughts. It's just the way it is. How many people have stubbed their toe on the edge of the table and thought, right, that's it, it's gonna be one of those days, isn't it? Or the law of attraction says that if you go out and you see a red light and you're late for something, you're gonna see a red light every time because you're attracting it now. So expecting the best at all times is kind of the glass half full, half empty thing, isn't it? Why would you want to expect the worst? By the way, my mantra for life used to be, expect the worst and anything better is a bonus. Can you think of a more horrible way to live your life? That, honestly, up until 24, 25, because that was my life. Shit always happened to me. Why don't I get the break? Why isn't my book a #1 bestseller? Why isn't my album going to the top of the charts? Why aren't I a millionaire? Now I realise I don't want to be a millionaire. I don't care how successful the book is, and I really don't care if I get a #1 out, because it doesn't fulfill me anyway.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? But what I do think is, every morning, gratitude. I'm glad I've got my health, I've got my wife, I've got my grandchildren, I live in a beautiful place, I've got a lovely house, I'm moving to France. So when I wake up and I have gratitude, that positive energy, that positive feeling gets my blood pumping, can't wait to get out of bed. And then say, right, what's up? Let's go to the gym, let's get really pumped up, what's the day looking like? So expecting the best at all times is just believing that something good will always happen. And I had this conversation with Lisa, the lady that works for us today. I said to her, I'm going to a network meeting tonight and I'm going to talk about motivation and positivity. And she went, well, I could do with some of that. I went, well, straight away, talk to me. What do you need? She went, well, I don't know. I said, yeah, you do know. You're just not asking yourself the right questions, Lise. I said, since you've been with us, you have grown as a person because you're seeing me and Donna reach for our dreams, challenging ourselves. Who in their right mind would move to a country where you don't speak the language to start a business that they don't? Why not? Do you know what I mean? And I keep saying to her, look, the world's your oyster. If you're going to allow other people to keep you down and you're going to allow other people to tell you that you're not worthy and you believe it yourself, then you will be. Henry Ford said, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right. And I was saying to Rich earlier, I'm Captain Cliche because cliches exist because they're true and they stand the test of time. But they are absolutely true. If you want to choose to think negatively, you are going to attract negative and you are just going to have a shit life.
Which obviously then ties into...
It really is that simple.
Which obviously then ties into A, allow yourself to be great, because you can expect the best, but if you don't, like...
If you're not believe it...
I can't say the word. Receptive to it, then it doesn't matter. The best thing could actually happen, but it'll all go away straight away. I think it was, Maria... Actually, is it Maria Kondo? No, not... Yeah. Or... There was one of them... Louise Hay. That was
Louise
it,
Hay,
yeah.
Hay House Publishing,
So
Dr. Wayne Dwyer. I love Wayne Dwyer. Oh, I lived. He was lovely.
So that was the thing there, is, you know, the thought that if you accept, like, good things, then you'll be able to actually take them and appreciate them for what they are. But if you're like, oh, this thing won't last, or, you know, it doesn't matter, I don't deserve it, all of that kind of stuff, it'll go away the next day because, you know, well...
Because you just put a barrier up, and you hit that barrier and bounce off. If you want something more for other people than you want for yourself, you're going to get better. For my children and my grandchildren, I want health, wealth, prosperity. I want good life. I want excitement, happiness, joy, passion. I want that all for my grandchildren. And by the way, my mission in life, and this ties in with allowing myself to be great, my sole mission in life, and I implore every single one of you to have a purpose in life, because when you have a purpose, you have direction, you have reason. My purpose in life is to be as fit, strong, and healthy as I possibly can, mentally, physically, and emotionally, so that I give myself the best possible chance of living as long as possible to see my youngest grandchild turn into an adult. And along the way, if I can create a memorable legacy financially and emotionally, I will have left this planet and done the job I was here to do.
I'm really seeing how these all like move into the
And
next
they
one, because
all
now
tie in.
we're already on S.
You're just getting me to move on because I talked too much.
No, honestly, I'm just getting kind of excited because I can see where they're
That's
going now.
why it's a program, and
yeah,
that's why
and that's why it works really well. So I'm not pushing you to rush or anything, but I do see how that now goes on to set yourself up for success, as you talked about with your granddaughter.
Allowing yourself to be great is mentally, physically, and emotionally. So I eat very, very well. I don't eat junk food anymore. And I go to the gym 5 times a week. I lift 3 times a week. I'm on the Stairmaster for 45 minutes on a non-training day and an hour on a training day, as well as the weight training. I eat good food. I drink lots of water. I eat because I have a duty to look after my body mentally, physically, and emotionally. Otherwise, I'm not in line with my purpose to live as long as possible. So when I'm setting myself up for success, this is goal setting. This is knowing where we're going. This is knowing the journey that we're on and keeping on the path. Listen, everybody in the world needs to be as fluid as water. If you set a goal and you think that's the straight line, everybody knows nothing in nature is a straight line. So you have to allow yourself. Imagine you set yourself a sat-nav. You get in the car and you think, right, I'm going to Kathmandu. How am I going to get there? I haven't got a clue. I'm just going to start driving. So you're going somewhere, but you're going nowhere, because you're never going to get to Kathmandu because you don't know where you're going. But if you set your sat-nav, you set your goal, your intention, and you set your journey, you might come across a roadwork, or you might come across a bridge or a flooded, and you might have to take direction. You might have to be flexible and flow. But if you know where you're going, you're going to get there eventually. So setting yourself up for success, we all know the SMART process. Yeah, it's obviously, I can't even think of it now, but it's in my book. It's in my book. So when you're setting a goal, you follow a process. It has to be measurable. It has to be achievable. It has to be time measured, relatable, all these kind of things, okay? So setting yourself up for success is not just about setting those goals. It's believing that you can achieve those goals. Why would you set out to do something which you don't actually believe that you can do? Now, I'm not saying you have to have unwavering self-belief, because that normally comes from experience along the way, but you have to have some sort of semblance of, I'm going to achieve it, to be able to start the journey. So engage your future. For me, this is staying accountable. I have an accountability partner called my wife, and if I'm being a knobhead, she tells me straight away. She keeps me on track, and I love her for it.
Oi.
She's like, I've got one like this. But But like John and Ross, accountability partners in business, okay? Like it could be a friend, it could be an associate, it could be just go into somebody and say, look, I've decided that I want to do this, I need you to help me. So I have a personal trainer called Kieran. He's 28, he's a gold medal bodybuilder. I don't want to be a bodybuilder, but he pushes me to the point where, what's your calories today? How many steps have you done? What exercise did you do? And it's like, mate, leave me alone. I'm working, I'm busy, but I'm paying him to keep me on track. I need that accountability partner. So engaging your future, journaling, writing stuff down, externalizing, getting all these crazy stuff out of your head so that you can look back at it in the future and say, look, how far have I come? There's a saying, don't look back, you're not going that way. I don't necessarily agree with that. You have to look back to see where you've come. The worst thing is to try and look into the future, because you define your future by what you do today. We spoke about this earlier. You can't go back, you can't go forward. You can just be in the present, and you can tell your future by doing what you do today. And that is living your absolute best life in line with your purpose, your vision, and your goals. So, if you go through that process of those 7 steps, one by one, and you are truly honest with yourself, you will become the absolute best version of yourself. Because it's me, it's exactly what I've done. And I've gone through some really horrible, emotional, turmoil times, physically, mentally, and emotionally, but you have to. Personal journey is about pain and growth and achievement. So That's why I did it, and that's what Release the Best You stands for. Hooray!
Hooray.
Not one PowerPoint.
I do like the visual props there. That's absolutely fantastic.
Well, I did this because I did a presentation in Poole in Dorset at the Lighthouse Theatre once, and I was all geared up, and I had all my slideshow and that. She went, "Oh, we haven't got a TV," and I was like, "Oh!" So I got all these printed out. It's the first time I've used them since then. So,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Oh, I feel
I
quite
had to
honoured,
dust them
actually.
off earlier.
No, they're really good. I really like that, actually, that kind of like a more physical kind of version of it. It's quite nice. Yeah, so, you know, for me as a video guy, you know, I'm looking at this, I can see a 3-act structure going on, you know, all kind of the setup here about recognizing who you are and evaluating what your current situation is. The conflict and resolution then comes with learning to let go, which is obviously going to be quite difficult, expecting the best, allows us to be great. That is conflict. That is the difficult, really difficult part.
The turning point is just after learn to let go.
Right.
Because everything else is introspective. The recognizing who you are, evaluating your current situation, and learning to let go, they're all introversial. So it's kind of like, what do I need to search for inside? Then it becomes the external. Okay, so now I know where I am, I'm grounded, I'm in this position, how do I move forward? And like I say, it's not necessarily about, you know, predicting your future. It's about what can I do each day to move one step closer to the things that are going to fulfill my purpose, and engage your future as well. Does anybody do vision boarding? Does anybody know what vision? Okay, you know how powerful vision boarding. I used to be a skeptic. My wife is a white witch and she does magic. And let me tell you now, I heard you two talking about magic earlier. Magic exists, my friends. Trust me. I got goose pimples. Look at that. Right? Me and my wife, we have vision boards. We believe in the universe, the law of attraction, the manifestation. We have mantras. It sounds really hippie-ish, but don't knock it until you've tried it. Because I could tell you a story about my vision board that will blow your socks off, but we don't have time. Ask me later. We do have time? Do we have time?
Go on.
Very quickly. Right, so I did a vision board years and years ago. We lived in Addicott Road, and we were doing our vision board. We always do them on New Year's Eve. My wife and I normally go out and do a gig on New Year's Eve. I get loads of money, and then I go home and we sit there and we do like vision boards. This one year, I said to Donna, I want a new car. She went, okay, what car do you want? I said, I don't know, the Mercedes. And we had a Mercedes out on the drive. It was a blue 55 plate, and it was an estate, and it was clapped out. It was no good. So I said, look, I want a new Mercedes. So I typed in Google, new Mercedes car. This car came up. It was an E-Class AMG, beautiful, beautiful car. And I'm not really materialistic. It was just, I want a new car. So I printed the picture off, and I put it out there. Each day from that point, I looked at the picture and I thought, right, what can I do to get one step closer to achieving that brand new car? So I thought, well, I need to go somewhere and do something, because imperfect action beats inaction every single time. So just do something. So I went over to the local Mercedes garage. I said, I've got this car here. How much will you give me on a trade-in? He gave me a pathetic amount, and I was like, okay, whatever. Told him the balance I had, and he said, okay, yeah, no worries. He said, I think I've got something for you. He took me out, and he said, that car there, and I was like, no, I can't afford that. It's amazing. He went, honestly, you know, hearing what you're saying, you can have it. Turns out I couldn't. It was out of our budget. So he said, look, go home. I'll call you in a couple of days. I'm sure I can find you something. 3 days later, he phoned me and said, I think I found it, come over. So we did this really cheesy salesman thing, right? We got into the showroom, he was like, you're gonna love this. This is the one. I was like, okay, here we go. And he walked past, he had the key, right? And he walked past it, he went, what would you do if I told you you could have that car? I was like, first of all, you're a bellend, mate, but I was like, this car was stunning. It was a graphite grey AMG E-Class Mercedes, and I was like, absolutely not. He said, mate, I've done the numbers. I wouldn't do it to you twice. That is your car. I drove that car home. I said to Donna, look at this. And she was absolutely blown away. Here's the kicker. I swear on my grandchildren's life, the car on my vision board was the car that was in my drive. The only difference was the vision board had a German number plate and mine had British. And that is, I swear, the God's honest truth. That's how I know that vision boards exist. By the way, another very quick one. We live in North Petherton. We've got 6.5 acres of land. We live in the middle of nowhere. At the time, we were in Addicott Road. It was a semi-detached road. There's loads of cars. It's built up. It's very horrible, and it's all built in. My wife put on her vision board, I want some land. That was it. And then she put a football field, and that's all that she put. We had no intentions of moving, nothing at all. Long story short, for some reason, we ended up buying 6.5 acres of land. We live in the middle of nowhere, and it was on that vision board. So engaging your future is having belief that you've got a future and manifesting it and making it work.
That's incredible. That's
No.
absolutely incredible.
It was incredible, mate. It was incredible.
Did you actually know that it was like when you saw that car? Did
No,
you twig,
not a clue,
or was it
not a
not
clue.
until you saw the photo?
I didn't really take much notice of the car. It was just a new Mercedes, a picture, and that was it.
Really?
I
Wow,
didn't even
that's
think about it.
insane.
But this is the problem, you see. People have this thought in their mind that they can just sit there and wait for stuff to happen. Nothing's going to come to you in this life unless you go and get it. And it might not come now. It might come in 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 years. But if you don't do anything to try and manifest it, of course it's not going to happen. But it's having that belief that somehow, some way, something good will happen if I take one step towards it. If you just sit there and think to yourself, right, life's going to be amazing, I'm going to win £1 million, or I'm going to get a new car, and you just sit there and wait for it, well, it's not going to happen, is it? But if you look at it, you think, okay, that thing that I want maybe 5 years down the line, but if I take steps now, investing, or buying assets, whatever it might be. If you do nothing, nothing will change. If you change something, everything will change. It's just the way of life. There you go.
That's incredible. That is absolutely fantastic. I do want to talk about your book very quickly, though. So, I mean, it's called Release the Best You, so obviously it's got the program in there as well. Does it have more anecdotes like the one you were just saying there? Does it have that anecdote? So we can hear.
I think it does, actually.
Yeah.
So the book is a hybrid.
I know you haven't read it.
Yeah, mate. I can remember bits of it. But yeah, so my editor told me all about it. So the book is a hybrid in the fact that all of that is in there. So I have different things where you can work with me one-to-one, and I coach you and I help you, and I hate the term coach, but I help you to identify these things that are holding you back and help you to open your eyes to the possibilities of the future. You can also just do the program on its own, but we're not allowed to pitch, so I'm just telling you. You can do the program on its own, and it's all online. You get videos and worksheets and all the rest of it. Or you can just buy the book. That's the entry-level thing. All of this stuff is in the book, and it is a hybrid. You actually work through and fill it out as you go. So you can, it's like a journal. But also, each section, before you actually start the module, I tell you something about my life where it's manifested for me or it's happened, so that you know it's real. So, for example, success, setting yourself up for success, for example, that depends on what you term as success. Everybody's vision of success is completely different. Now, when I was 16 years old and me and Donna first got together, I left home. I was living in a bedsit in Lower Bristol Road in town. I met the girl of my dreams. We lived in a shitty little bedsit. Sorry, excuse my language. It was damp, it was dingy, it was mouldy, and we had a pigeon. This is in the book. We had a pigeon living under the shower. And every morning we would wake up and you could hear the pigeon scratching. By anybody's standards, that was an absolute dive. It was a tip. And probably the landlord shouldn't have rented it out. But here we were, me and my wife, now wife, in this room. I was king of the world. I'd left home. I didn't have to answer to anybody. I was living on Cocoa Pops and chocolate biscuits because that's all we could afford because it was the 90s. We were doing loads of drugs. And we were having the time of our life. So at that moment then, in that time, I was the most successful person I knew because most of my friends were still at home having all their meals cooked for them, being told what time they had to come in and all this kind of stuff. Now when I look back at it and I see the life that I've got now and the disparity between the two, now I'm successful because it's not about money, it's about my grandchildren, it's about my love, my happiness, my wife, and all the nurturous things that I have in my life. But when you define what your success is and you understand it and you dial in on it and you let all the other rubbish fall away, like I say, it's all about perspective, isn't it?
Yeah.
And for me, at that time, that's in the book. That's where we started, and where we are now is immeasurably different to back then.
That's
So, I can pass these around. You can have a little look. I wanted to pass these around as well, because these are for you to take away. This is a copy of that, basically. And, I don't know, it might help you to think about some things, or Tim, you've probably seen this a few times now, haven't you? But yeah, just have a look at it, keep it, and if it helps you to, instigate some thought, feeling, or emotion. By the way, I'm only a message away. If you want to chat about anything, just please let me know. And the book, can I tell them it's available on Amazon?
You can tell them it's
The book's available on Amazon. Actually, it's available from me, but I only take cash. We've got to survive in France somehow. Yeah, the book's done all right, actually. I didn't want a massive launch. I haven't put paid ads about it. I think I've sold, I don't know, about 85, 90 books on launch, and then I've done nothing with it because we've just been living in France for a month. So we'll see. It'll go to the right people it's meant to find.
Yeah.
I didn't write a book to make money. I wrote a book to spread the word, and it's an asset, really, isn't it? It's a door to somebody finding out a little bit more about me.
Legacy. It's your legacy.
It will be to my grandchildren. Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is the thing. Like, people, I don't know. I said this against Rich. I will never be a millionaire or a multi-millionaire because I don't want it enough. I don't care if it becomes a #1 selling book. I don't care if I live in a mansion. I'm okay. I'm okay. I've got my health, my wealth, and I've got my wealth. I've got my health, and I've got my emotions, and I've got every single thing that I need. If money is meant to come to me, then it will come. And if it's not, well, I'll just keep being who I am and doing what I do and living the life that I live. So if you want to buy my book, it'll help. Sorry, buddy.
Beautifully done. Beautifully done. So what I want to, that was absolutely fantastic. Really enjoyed hearing all of your stories, all the ups, all the downs, the emotional side, the strength of which you managed to find and develop.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not just about having the strength, it's about building that strength over time. If there was one actionable tip that you can give to everybody here today,
yeah,
one thing you want them to take away, what would that be?
Stop waiting for life to give you what you think you need, because it ain't. Life will. Vision boards, yeah.
Is only allowed one actionable tip?
Do
Don't give
something.
another one.
Like, life will not give you what you're expecting it to give you. You have to do something. Imperfect action beats inaction every single time. Another cliche. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with one small step. And if we can all leave here tonight and take one small step towards that future that you want, you deserve, and you know that you should have, and I don't know what that is, just take that one step. Have self-belief and understand that no one is going to give it to you. You have to go and get it.
Absolutely. Right. I haven't been entirely honest with you. I said no pitching. One person is allowed to pitch. It is our fireside guest. You're allowed one 60-second pitch for whatever it is you want to promote.
Okay.
There you go.
I've just told you everything, and I'm not really a pitch guy. I'm not really a pitch guy. The book's available on Amazon. It's available from me. I've got some business cards. You can contact me. Listen, I'm not always about, I want payment for everything. If I can help you with a couple of conversations, I'm more than happy to. It's always good to have a different perspective. You know the thing about being in the woods and the trees and stuff like that. So if you think there's anything that you have that I can help you with, even if it's just a 15-minute free conversation, let me know. And then, like I say, if you feel that you want to work with me one-to-one, or you want to do my online course, or you want to buy the book, that's up to you. It is what it is. Whatever's meant to be will be. That's my pitch. I'm not a businessman.
That is the first call to action that I've ever heard, which is whatever will be, will be.
Will be, yeah.
That is perfectly unique, perfectly you, and fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Mitchell. Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate you.
We are now opening the floor to Q&A. James, I think you've got somebody has the microphone, which will be coming over. So if you have a question for Steve, right now is the time. Please just put your hand up or wave at line or something like that. Over here, there you go.
Hello. I don't really have a question. I just wanted to say thank you. I've listened to lots of life coaches. That was the best.
Oh, mate, thank you so much.
That was the best. And I think I'm so sad that I haven't met you before and that you're fucking off to France.
You know where to find me, brother.
Well, I will be in touch.
I've come into your life for a reason at this point.
Amazing. Seriously, Steve.
Thank
amazing.
you so much.
Thank you so much. I
Really
learned so much tonight. You answered so many questions. That's why I haven't got a question for you.
That's okay.
There's so much in my head.
My work here is done.
Yeah. It's like the interview thing, is it? Oh, any questions for us? It's like, no. Anybody else? You had one, if you...
Well, you answered it already.
Oh, there we go. That's right then.
Because I was following his journey of going to launch the book, so I just was interested.
What's on your vision board at the moment?
What's on my vision board? France. France was on the vision board. Obviously, we're going back to New Year's Eve this time. So France is on there. My grandchildren are on there because I want education, I want health, and I want wealth for them. Health and wellness for myself. There's a picture of me. I did a little AI thing of what I perceive that I want myself to look like, which is not big like that, but strong, fit, and healthy. And there's no new car on there. Oh, there's a big thing in the middle that just says love. I just want love from my family, my friends. And by the way, there's a circle on there because as I get older, and like I say, I'm 51 now, and my circle is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. because the trust that I have in people, I only give it to certain people. Does that make sense? So as I'm getting older, I'm losing friends, family, hangers on. When you're in a band, you get thousands of yes people. Oh, you're so amazing. Don't tell me what I do right. I want to know what I'm doing wrong. I want to know what helps me become better. So that circle, it's on the board as well, and it's like, keep that circle and keep everybody in that circle safe. I have this process or this belief in life, and I call it my bubble thing. In my bubble is me, my wife, and my 2 children. Connected to that is my daughter and her husband, and my other daughter and her boyfriend. Connected to them is my daughter's husband's mum and dad, and the bubbles go out. They're connected. Does that make sense? Yeah. Now, if I do what I do to the best of my ability to look after my bubble and the bubbles around me, that's all I can do. So, for example, the Gaza conflict or Afghan or something like that, when I see it on the telly, it doesn't matter how hard I try, I will never affect that bubble because all the bubbles around me, they won't do their bit. So I can't. All I can do is look after me, my circle, and those circles around me. And if I can do that, that is my life fulfilled. So these things are very important to me. And I always say to my daughter and my son-in-law, my grandchildren will never remember the material things you gave them. They will remember the love, the cuddles, the experiences. And I always say to my oldest one is 12 years old, Oscar. He's nearly taller than me. And I say to him, mate, I want you to kiss and cuddle me when you're 40 years old, because that is a true expression of love. And in my family, we've always kissed and cuddled, even my uncles, because that's just who we're hippies, really, let's be honest. But so all my values are on my vision board, because there's no material things I want or need now. I'm at that age, when it's birthdays and it's Christmas. What do you want, Paps? Oh, fucking no. If I can't eat it or wear it, don't give it to me. And in fact, because it's just stuff then. And like going to France, we are literally being ruthless. Washing machine, dishwasher, it can all go. We don't need it. We're going to live a simple life in France, so it can all go. And so all these things that are special to me. No Mercedes anymore. I've got a nice big truck, I don't need a Mercedes. No worries, thank you.
Fantastic. Any more for any more?
You don't have a song, one song. You've got to sing a George Michael song.
Sorry?
You've got to sing a George Michael song.
I don't even know any George
I think he wants a verse of
Club Tropicana, drinks are free. That's Wham, innit? That's George Michael.
That's George Michael, yeah.
Come on.
Hey!
I was an 80s kid.
There we go, thank you. You've now got us copyright claimed on YouTube.
Well, there you go. Yeah. That's just wiped all of that out, yeah. Listen, guys, thank you so much. Do you know what? It's always a little bit nerve-wracking when you do this. I'm sure some of you do it as well. But when it's this close and you're all attentive, I really appreciate it because it makes it so much easier. And not having to do the stuff is amazing.
It's a different thing, isn't it, when you don't have it with you?
It's more relaxed, and I was very excited to do it. I might not have seen because I never got back to your emails, but I was always really She's just giving you away. Yeah. She's like, yeah, because he was moaning constantly.
It was in a couple of weeks, and I just get an email back saying, yeah, sorry, brother, I've been in France. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay.
I was thinking it was ADHD.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'll get back to it. I'll do that whenever, whatever. Yeah. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If it ain't, ain't. But thank you, Xander. I really appreciate it for you and your team as well. Really, really good.
No problems. Thank you very much. Once again, Steve Mitchell.
Yes. Thank you.